Hello and welcome. I'm Master Lama Rasaji, and this is Thursday's edition of Rasaji Speaks. I hope you're so happy to be with me today. I am extremely happy to be with you. This morning is that morning where Lamaji feels like, man, oh man. I am myself, and I appreciate your patience. I am moving forward, and I am taking no prisoners, and I'm not looking over my shoulders. You're either with me or you're not. You got to let me know if you're with me. All right. Don't forget, at 1 o'clock today, we have Kira Pasick as Lamaji's guest to talk about the latest of I Hercules. I think if you're into nutrition and into making supplement income, you might want to hear this. Some of our people have been taking the product for 3 years. Lama G and me and Mita and Chin have been taking the product for almost 3.5 years now. Some phenomenal results, but the extra income is also nice. So she's going to talk about both and what's the latest on iHercules. So again, chime in at 1 o'clock today with Sister Care, Lama G, and iHercules. Today's title is Subtle Greed, a Sign of Spiritual Poverty. It kind of is. It really kind of is. Most people will spend most of their time pretending to basically know everything there is to know about money. And then, as my dad said, not have a pot to you know what in number one, right? Sorry about. So, anyhow, I've watched people over the years, and what I've noticed about people, whether it's spirituality, whether it's health, wellness, whether it's definitely wealth or poverty, you see something. The people who spend all their time talking about money usually have little to none of it. They want to make you think they are. People who claim to be an entrepreneur, but maybe they've been an entrepreneur 6 months to 2 or 3 years of their life. They might have the making of an entrepreneur consciousness, but it's not really an entrepreneur. See, when I got ready to leave Tibet, Master Lama Boyang looked at me, and it was kind of that moment where grasshopper snatched the pebble from my hand. Boyang told me two things that just kind of mesmerized. Now, remember, I'd already been training with him for 3 or 4 years in New York. And now 3 to 4 years, I had 7 to 8 years of constant contact with the Lama and almost four in Tibet. Now, just imagine, right? He says you're going to be the father of three sons. That materialized the same year I got my lamaship, which was 2010, when Chin, our youngest, was born. But he says, you're also going to be an entrepreneur. Well, I couldn't even spell entrepreneur. I'm not even sure I can spell it now. Thank God for word check and Google and other things that can help you spell, especially for somebody who had dyslexia symptoms growing up. I'm doing better now because I've done a ton of figure eights and a ton of Tai Chi swim, and that's helped me balance both hemispheres of my brain, and it'll help you also. That's why we put it in our 45-day renewal. You need to check it out. I'm really happy and real excited of what it did. But along the way, I became a student of work ethics, and now I'm a master of it. I became a student of organization. Now I'm a master at it. But I really became a student of action. That's Master David. Buddy howdy. I can tell this morning in meditation and prayer that Lamaji felt totally like himself. I had to get a little bit of the death urge out of me from everything I'd gone through. My family knew it was coming. No matter what, it's coming. But because I had been through 55 years of this stuff consciously, closer to 57, thank God for Babaji's teaching, Bo Yang's teachings, because I knew what to do. And now I feel clean of it. And I feel happy. When I pray the Bardo for my mom and sister, it's a celebration. It's a unification. But greed ties a person to a low vibration of poverty. And a lot of people use it like the deep state does in politics, a form of misdirection. That's right. They use it as a form of misdirection, right? I've been around people who quote unquote this and that. In the last couple of years, the Holy Spirit has shined so much light on so many people that were lying about their status in life. It's almost shocking to Lama Ji. One individual I've known for over 2 decades, that when the realization came that that person was more poverty stricken mindset than I thought so, but dressed real nice. I remember an old adage I used to hear years ago going to an Amway meeting about 4 decades ago when my sister tricked me into coming because they were so ashamed of their company back then. Remember, they didn't tell you it was an Amway meeting until you're about halfway through the meeting. That's right. Because they were getting sued every which way and under as a pyramid scheme. They were not a pyramid scheme, but they had a lot of bad press back in the 70s and 80s. And so my sister got me into one in between my travels to the Orient. It was my first time sitting down hearing about network marketing. That was 4 decades ago. They were drawing little circles on the paper, and I'm thinking, well, if they love their company so much, why such the hush and not the stuff? Who would have known that my sister and myself, who were not even thinking about interested in entrepreneurship, was kind of like the first classroom that we were being exposed to basic business building skills 4 decades ago, if you can imagine. Think about that. When was the first time you sit in on an op? About a year or two later, I sat in on my first prosperity workshop. The guy that was leading the workshop went around with $100 bill and hit you in the face with it and said, see, money doesn't hurt at all. Slapping, kind of funny, right? Funny what people process. Years later, Master David and me launched our first educational Circle of Chi training in Tai Chi Gong online from 2013 to 2019. Introduced the basic concepts of the Circle of Chi, like you guys. Even then, they loved it. Lama Ji was going around North America, bringing the Circle of Chi to life. And at the same time, we were using it to sign up members online, building a residual income. This is back in 2013, right? Circle of Chi course went over really good. The next year, we brought into Consciousness, Awake, and Remember. That was really, really good. And then we brought in the true teachings of Jesus. And this is when I knew that I had a lot of New Agers in my group. They didn't want to hear any talk about Jesus, and they didn't want the dots connected to the metaphysical. They didn't want to see a connection between the Siddha Yoga lineage and Jesus, but I told it anyhow because I was asked by the Lama Rasaji to do so. The other thing that I established was how you go from here to here, from poverty to abundance. They were willing to hear about the circle of chi and the 8 chapters of how you have a relationship with the infinite and with the intrinsic energy of the chi itself. They didn't want to hear about a change in life, a change in their stripes. They would even consider longevity and physical immortality, and they got excited about that. When I started talking about spiritual people taking spiritual responsibility, I realized that a lot of them, it was talk. They were making a few dollars. Even I mentored, they were some of my private students, but there was a common denominator in them all. They really hated money. And they really didn't want the responsibility of money. And they didn't believe that spirituality and money were supposed to go together. Well, there's a lot of Buddhists and other religious sects that believe that. Not all Buddhists do, but a lot of Buddhists do, right? They don't go together. This is a world of Maya, illusion. And you're not supposed to want to mess with money. But yet, Enoch didn't teach that. Uncle Enoch, who lived 365 years, wrote a book called The 9 Pillars of the Science of Abundance. And in it, the first pillar was give what you want, share what you want to become, right? Pray as if it's all up to God, work as if it's all up to you. Give more than the value of what somebody is praying for. And then in the fifth pillar, right? Harness and master what you've learned in the first 4 and watch the synergy of the first 4, and you will literally vibrate prosperity and abundance, right? And then, of course, the richest man in Babylon wrote a book with the overview of what Uncle Enoch wrote. He said, part of all I earn is mine to keep. Pay yourself first in honor of the divine that resides inside of you. Pay yourself first. So they didn't want to have anything to do with that. And our membership just started to tank. The more I talked about the true story of Jesus, the more, and it began to tank, and it began to tank. And then the more I talked about taking responsibility, being good stewards of money, right? It started to tank. Master David, we scratched our head. What the hell is going on with these people? And they just was not willing to change. And so when the people are not willing to change, then they'll mass poverty with greed. And everything they will see, they're looking for money. They don't understand they're chasing money. And money's kind of like that Benny Rooster, right? If you remember one of the episodes of Rocky Balboa, right, is that his teacher is having him run around and try to catch a rooster with his hand, right? That's how they are with money. You can never really catch it, don't know how to receive it, right? Next week, I'm going to talk about the feng shui of money and feng shui envelopes. And I think that you might get a really cool glimpse of that. Maybe I'll have Master David up with me to update that since he's a master of feng shui envelopes. But in order to understand the law of attraction of money, you can't be greedy. You have to be actually the opposite of greed. You have to be a servant leader. You have to focus on the passion of the mission when you really do. Money, like a lot of things in the Circle of Chi, those chapters will just show up. Focus on mission, your mind will get better. Focus on breathing. If you focus on mission, your breathing will get better. Your Tai Chi movement will get better. Your walking will get better. Your work will become more passionate. Your investing will become more wiser. Your relationships with human beings will become more passionate. And then all of a sudden, you're vibrating so much life force. Last thing you want to do is be depressed. Last thing you want to do is think about checking out of here early because you got too much to do. You're too busy living. You're too busy being passionate. You're too busy embracing your Father who sent you here to do your will and his will in a special, special, special way. Don't forget to tune in today at 1 o'clock with Sister Care. She's got a lot of beautiful stuff to share with you. As we say in the East, Baraka Bushad, which means may the blessings be. And I want it to be to you and to your glorious family. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow on Shangri-La Friday. Don't be late. God bless.